morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to do what we do every time a new set is launched over in Japan. We are going to take a look at the prices these cards are going for. Now, the usual rules apply. We are looking at the price at which shops are buying in Japan. So you can kind of add between 50 and 100% to actually get what they're going to be selling it at. And also a quick reminder that as a general rule, singles tend to be a little bit cheaper in Japan. So the prices we're giving here are not intended to be absolutely perfect. This is the exact what they're going to retail for. This is instead intended to be, here is a rough idea of values, especially relative values, between cards. And let's start off with, as far as I'm concerned, the big story here, and it probably shouldn't surprise you massively. Boss's Orders, Giovanni, is a very expensive card. Like, if we have a quick look at the value of it, we're talking 1,500 yen for the regular artwork. It goes up from there, but for the regular artwork, we're talking 1,500 yen. That is basically £11 or $15. But bearing in mind, we're talking the buy price for a Japanese shop. That's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Means they're probably going to be selling it at somewhere around $25 to $30-ish. And it means that that's going to be a bit more expensive when it comes out over here. Now, worth reminding you that Boss's Orders is just an alternate name reprint of Lysander, so I think that probably helps to explain why it's so good. The other thing you need to bear in mind here is, like Professor's research, although not guaranteed, we are expecting this card to be reprinted with different villains in the future, which means we'll have 4, 5, 6 legal versions so many years down the line, which will wreck the value of this card in the future. But as for now, yeah, it's still holding quite a bit of value. Don't expect this to change anytime soon. If you want the full art or the rainbow rare, interestingly enough, they are both being bought for 4,000 yen, which works out at about £30 or $39. Which again, that's pretty expensive, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. But again, we're talking about the fancy version of what is destined to be one of the best cards in the game. If Japanese card shops are buying it for about $40, you can expect to be paying $70, $80 for these when they launch over here. Could be wrong. Absolutely could be wrong. But bearing in mind these are the fancy versions of a card that is going to be a 2 to 4 of in basically every deck moving forward from now until the rotation. Now, to put this in a little bit of context, the next most, and we don't have a complete list, we've only got what they've chucked out over Twitter, but the next most expensive card we see is actually Galarian PERRSERKER, coming in at 2,000 yen. 2,000 yen, you're looking somewhere in the region of about $20 or £15. And this again makes a little bit of sense. This is Japan's weird thing where they're starting going, right, we're going to put a gold Pokemon into each of our sets, but it's going to be a Pokemon from the previous set. So Galarian PERRSERKER actually came out in the Sword and Shield base set, but it's coming out in Sword and Shield 2 in Japan as a gold card. Now, what is interesting about this, of course, is the fact that we got that, well, we will get, Japan have already gotten, the promo Galarian Meowth, well, it came in a box, which lets you discard 2 cards from your hand and then search your deck for Galarian PERRSERKER. It basically means you can play an all-basic deck while still playing the Stage 1 Galarian PERRSERKER, and since that happened, it has found its way into a bunch of Zacian decks to do a little bit of extra damage. Berserker's ability lets all of your metal Pokemon do an extra 20 damage. It doesn't see play at the moment, and it didn't in Japan before the new Meowth, purely because it was just too awkward to get into play. Now, however, yeah, it's a lot better. So you get up to 2,000 yen here because it's a good gold playable card, and people love these gold Pokemon. And then we see the other gold cards. We see Tool Scrapper and we see Scoop Up Net, each of which comes in at 1,300 yen. So again, putting this in perspective, this is cheaper than a regular art boss's orders. Cheaper than the regular art boss's orders. And you're looking about £10 in UK money and about $13 in US money. Again, we're doing a little bit of rounding to make the numbers a little bit easier, but we're pretty gosh darn close. Now, Tool Scrapper is just a reprint of a card we had a while ago. It lets you discard 2 Pokemon tools in play from yourself or your opponent. No, it's not as good as Field Blower, that gets rid of 2 in any combination of tools and stadium cards, but it doesn't matter because Field Blower isn't an option right now, so who really cares? It's going to be a 1 or 2 of in basically every deck. The difference is, of course, is just Tool Scrapper. It's not a different named reprint, it's not a different card, you are just allowed to play it. You can just play your old copies of Tool Scrapper, which should depress the value for this a little bit, but then again, it's going to be a staple in almost every deck, and this is the gold, shiniest version of it, so I suppose that makes a little bit of sense. As for Scoop Up Net, same value, different card. It lets you pick up one of your non-GX, non-V Pokemon and put it into your hand. It can be used as a pseudo switch. It can be used for healing a Pokemon that's about to be KO'd. It can be used for reusing coming into play abilities like the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds, which gets supported back on top of your deck. And between the Oranguru that lets you draw a card essentially, or swap a card in your hand for one on top of your deck, and the fact that we've now got Scoop Up Net, I expect the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds to magically get quite a lot better. It's not going to be a staple in every deck, but it is a very good card that should see a fair amount of play, and it is the shiniest, bestest version thereof. Now, the other card we see, which is holding on to a fair bit of value here, is Eldegoss. Now, Eldegoss, if you want to get the regular art version, you're talking 700 yen, which is about $7 or £5. Again, remember that we're talking buy prices for a Japanese shop. They'll be more expensive over here. And if you want to upgrade to the full art version, remember there is no Rainbow Rare of regular Vs, you're talking about £7.50 or $10. This is not on the same level as Shaymin, Tapu Lele and Dedenne, and it's clearly supposed to be the next version of Shaymin, Tapu Lele or Dedenne. It's a card whereby you play it from your hand onto your bench, and it lets you grab a supporter card in your discard pile and put it into your hand. It's very much like the Mewtwo we just talked about, except it goes into your hand, not on top of your deck. It's alright. It's going to be a good card. It's going to be played a bunch, but I really don't see this as anything like Shaymin or Tapu Lele, so I don't expect it to be some hideously expensive card along those lines. I just don't. Now, one card that has been seeing quite a bit of play and success over in Japan so far is actually TOXTRICITY VMAX, which is a very good card. We're going to do videos on this in the near future. And yet somehow the regular art version comes in at 100 yen, and the Rainbow Rare comes in at 350 yen. And 350 yen, right, we're talking about $3.40 or £2.60. That's incredibly cheap. But the thing to remember here is this has actually been released in a set over in Japan where you can buy the box and guarantee, I believe, that you get the VMAX. So anytime you can just go and buy a set that's got the card in, that will massively depress the value. Even the Rainbow Rare hasn't held on to that much value. The only other really relevant cards in terms of, hey, they're holding a little bit of value here, are really Dragapult and Dragapult VMAX. Dragapult V comes in at 450 yen, so you're talking $4.40 or £3.40, which is more expensive than most of them, and if you want to upgrade to the full art, you end up at 700 yen, which means that you're talking somewhere in the region of about $7 or £5. So again, it's holding a little bit of value, and it's a card we expect to see that's quite good. It's not an amazing deck, but it's one we expect to see a bit of love for. And moving up into the VMAX, we see the exact same values. The VMAX comes in at 450, or the Rainbow Rare comes in at 700, the same as the Full Art V. I don't think it's going to be a phenomenal deck, but Dragapult is also an extremely popular Pokemon, so I think that helps to explain it. Outside of that, we're not really seeing huge values of anything. OLEANA as both a full art or a Rainbow Rare comes in at 400 yen, which again really isn't that much. We're talking about £3 or $4. OLEANA's fine. You discard 2 cards from your hand in order to play it, and then you get to look at your opponent's hand and put a trainer card you find there on the bottom of their deck. It's a nice disruptive card that I do envisage seeing a little bit of play here and there, but it's not a phenomenal card I think we all need to be terrified of. And then, I mean, you know, things like my boy Phalanx V. I adore Phalanx V. I think Phalanx V is amazing. But the fact of the matter is, it comes in as a regular art at a 100 yen price, which is $1 or about 75p. It's a little bit harsh. Sorry. I think it's a really good card. I think it makes a really good deck with the other Phalanx. The one that does 30 damage for each of your benched Phalanx. The V, the hook of it is that for each Phalanx you've got out, each of your Phalanx take 20 less damage from attacks, and it does apply to both Vs and non-Vs. And even the full art Phalanx only comes in at 250 yen, which means we're talking $2.50 or about £1.90. So, yeah, it's not a terribly expensive card at all. Most of these are, and like I say, singles in Japan tend to be quite cheap. So a lot of these Vs and VMAXs come in very cheap. The ones you've got to look out for are your Gold Galarian PERRSERKER, Boss's Orders in any way, shape or form, the gold item cards, and then you've got your Eldegoss and your Dragapult, which do hold a little bit of value there. But at least we've now got a little bit of an idea. We can see the cards from, well, what's going to be in Rebel Clash over here. We can see the cards we should be looking out for value-wise. Phalanx is fun, but unless it starts winning a lot more tournaments, don't expect the value to be nuts. Works out great for people like me that want to start hoarding them, because they're amazing. And we should all be trying to get Boss's Orders as fast as possible. They are not going to be cheap cards. I know they're trainer cards, but whenever you introduce any trainer card that's basically a 2 or 4 of in almost every deck, you should expect the value to get pretty high pretty quickly. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a nice indication of rough values from Rebel Clash, Rebellion Crash in Japan. Again, don't take these as absolutely strict. This is exactly what they're going to cost. Take it as good indications of rough values, especially relative values. But for now, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about these. I want to know which cards you're excited about. I want to know which of these values surprised you. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, Look after yourselves till next time, would you? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCGRadio.